Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. Tider Insider TV, brought to you by Visit Tuscaloosa.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the latest edition of Tider Insider TV alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris, and the Iron Bowl, just like Christmas or your birthday, comes once a year. And for many people, it's bigger than Christmas or their birthday. And I tell you what, when you get into the week, you kind of feel why. I think there's more anticipation in this game, Rodney, than there is for Christmas or there is for your birthday. That's how big it is. Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer will be making his first trip to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Of course, last year, DeBoer in his first Iron Bowl led Alabama to a 28-14 victory over the Tigers at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and a game, quite honestly, was not that close. This is the last time Alabama was 2 years ago. 4th and 31. Everybody remembers that place. Milroe to Bond. Isaiah Bond, who then went on to Texas and now with the Cleveland Browns. Milroe, of course, with the Seahawks. But, Rodney, before we look ahead, that is one of the most incredible plays. Well, I know everybody talks about kick six, but 4th and 31, the odds are about as long, right?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing, especially coming off what happened 2 years earlier. Yeah. Down there when Bryce takes him 97
yards.
Yeah.
So, Alabama, if it's a house of horrors and haunted and all that, well, Alabama's changed the script the last couple of times. As Rodney mentioned, 97 yards with a little more than a minute. No timeouts. 4 years ago, 2 years ago, 4th and 31. So Alabama's won the last two games down there. But you know what? This is a new game, and I don't think it's a house of horrors. I think that it's just a place that's tough to play because Auburn fans, regardless of what their team has done to that point, when the game is down there, Rodney, they're going to bring their best. Their players are going to bring their best. The coaches are going to bring their best. And for this season, it's a chance for them to get bowl eligible and, quite frankly, to put a positive spin on what has really been a tough season. They're 1-6 in the SEC.
Gary, they haven't won an SEC game at home.
They sure haven't, 0-3.
I mean, their only win in the SEC was at Arkansas. No, but I will say this now. Look, listen, Auburn is not a bad football team. They might not be a great team, but they have 5 one-score losses this year. So they've been close in a lot of games. They were close in a lot of games last year. They were close in most games in Hugh Freeze's career there. So this is not a bad football team. In fact, I think it's a really good defensive team. Offensively, they've had their struggles, but the last couple of games, I thought they played really well against Vanderbilt. They scored 48 points. That game went to overtime, and then, of course, they blew out Mercer this past weekend. But, again, I think this is a team defensively with DJ Durkin's really good on that side of the ball.
He has been. Alabama is a 5.5, 6.5 point favorite, depending on where you get it, which isn't that large. Again, when you consider Alabama's 9-2 overall, 6-1 in the SEC, Auburn's 5-6. And 1-6 in the league. Let's talk a little bit more about their football team. We're going to start with the quarterbacks because that's really probably why Hugh Freeze didn't make it. He just never got the kind of quarterback play that Auburn was expected to have under him. And this year they went all in on Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma, who beat Alabama last year when Arnold was the quarterback. It didn't work out there. Daniels did a good job in his couple of games, but then he sat out so he could retain a year of eligibility. And Deuce Knight, I know it was against Mercer, but Rodney, that was one of the all-time debuts. The kid went for nearly 400 yards of total offense and 6 touchdowns. So Ashton Daniels is going to get the start, but I expect that we'll see Deuce Knight some way, don't you?
Yeah, I do, and I think especially if Daniels struggles a little bit, you think, okay, who would Auburn bring in? Would they go to Jackson Arnold? Would they maybe have a package for Deuce Knight? I think obviously what Deuce Knight did last week, Gary, he rushed for close to 170 yards, threw for over 200, accounted for 6 touchdowns. Again, like you said, it's Mercer, but guess what? That's his first start as a college quarterback. I mean, that's amazing what he did. I wouldn't be surprised, Gary, if he at least has a package.
All right, let's talk about the venue because it's been called a house of horrors for Alabama. The truth is, Auburn is 10-7 against Alabama all time at Jordan-Hare Stadium. But when you consider the fact they won the first 4, since that time, Alabama's actually 7-6 at Jordan-Hare and has had some success themselves. But again, it's a rivalry game. I know there's anxiety for Alabama fans going down there, but there's anxiety for Ohio State fans going to Ann Arbor, having lost 4 in a row to Michigan. There's anxiety for A&M fans going to Texas as a favorite, knowing that Texas certainly has had the upper hand in that rivalry over the years. There's anxiety in all of these rivalry games. So I give Auburn credit for holding it together this year. I give them credit for having a very tough place to play. But that's the nature of these type of games, Rodney. You don't expect them to be easy regardless of the two teams that are involved.
No, I mean, rivalries bring out the best. And listen, I know that somebody told me today, Gary, that Joel Klatt said the Alabama-Auburn series is not even close to the Michigan-Ohio State series. And I said, well, it's spoken like a Yankee.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I think
he knows better than
when
that.
you look at someone that's not from the Southeast, I don't think that they understand. This is 365 days a year.
Yeah, and also he works for Fox.
Yeah.
They've got the Big Ten package. He knows ESPN has the SEC package, ABC, so, I think that's got something to do with it as well. But, we're not done with this Iron Bowl preview at all, and it is a tough place to play. But we'll get into why we think eventually that Alabama, and we'll have our predictions coming up later on, will win this football game. Now it's time for Coach Talk. Since Iron Bowls were moved out of Birmingham in 1989, as we said, Auburn has a 10-7 record against the Tide at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and Bama has split its past 6 games there against Auburn on the Plains. Now, it's going to be a challenge for Alabama this weekend, but Crimson Tide head coach Kalen DeBoer says his team will not approach this challenge differently from any of the other big games they've had this season.
You've got to prepare for the noise, prepare for the emotions that come, and that's what our season has done for us. We've been through a lot of that, and again, there'll be new challenges that present themselves, and a lot of it will be, again, new matchup, guys that have different people in front of them, strengths and weaknesses of the opponent. We're just going to prepare our best, focus on what we do, because that's what we've done all season long, to go out there and be our best on Saturday.
All right, the start of the season, the knock on DeBoer was that he couldn't win big SEC games on the road. He changed that this year. They've won all their SEC road games so far, trying to go perfect 4-0 on the road, Rodney. They've won at Georgia, they've won at Missouri, and they've won at South Carolina. So, again, I understand the significance of this rivalry. I understand the hostile environment that will greet Alabama, but Alabama has proven, listen, this is not a knock at Auburn, but Georgia's a much better football team than Auburn. I think, and people have kind of downplayed it, Georgia hasn't lost since that game. I still think the biggest win in the country this year, because of what Georgia's been able to do the last several years, is Alabama's win between the hedges.
Yeah, they had won 33 straight games there, and Alabama goes in an underdog and wins that game. And Gary, I think you're right. And I think another thing that you mentioned, their SEC road games, they're undefeated. All of those games, what do they have in common? They were one-score wins.
That's right.
Alabama knows how to win on the road in close games. And again, we talked about Auburn. They've lost 5 one-score games. Mm-hmm. Now, look, we said a couple of weeks ago that Alabama would dominate the turnover margin when Oklahoma was -5, Alabama was +10. It didn't turn out that way. So some of these things don't always work out the way you think. But again, I think when you look at Alabama, what they've done on the road this year in the SEC has been really impressive.
I've said on my radio show this week, for Alabama, just win this game. And whatever happens after that happens. You're going to go to Atlanta, whether you win or lose the SEC championship game, whether you get in the college football playoff, the chips will fall where they fall, but this is the key. And for Alabama, it is about winning 6 in a row over Auburn. That hasn't happened since the Coach Bryant run. But it's also, Rodney, about getting to Atlanta to play for an SEC championship and a spot in the college football playoff. So, yes, the rivalry is huge, but there's a lot on the line for Alabama if they win the game, and if they don't win the game, the fallout of not making the college football playoff is going to be something that you don't want to deal with here.
No, you don't. Again, you were sitting at number 4 just a couple of weeks ago in the country. You were squarely in the playoff to have a bye. You were in great position. Then you lose that game to Oklahoma here that you should have won handily, I think. And now you're in a position where you could get eliminated from the playoffs for the second year in a row, and November collapse for the second year in a row. That wouldn't be good. So you really want to win this game, put yourself in position to go to the SEC. Now, I'll say this, Gary, and I don't know how you feel about it because we really haven't talked about it, but even if Alabama beats Auburn, I think Alabama should go regardless of what happens in the SEC championship game, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think now the committee's kind of turning from last year when they said they wouldn't hold it against a team to where I think this year they would.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. If Alabama wins this game against Atlanta, they should be in the college football playoff, and I think they will be. But I wouldn't bet my life on it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but all you can do is handle your business, and the next order of business is the Iron Bowl. Well, still to come on Tide Insider Television, we'll take a look at Bama's big hoops matchup last night against Gonzaga. What a schedule the Tide is playing, and there's been some ups and downs. Plus, before the Iron Bowl, Alabama had a warm-up, a tune-up, if you will, against Eastern Illinois. And offensively, they got the run game going, which was good, and defensively, Alabama was absolutely dominant. Plus, a little bit later on, we'll be getting your phone calls, emails, and tweets. We expect to have a lot of calls tonight. We've already gotten a lot of emails. The phone number, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Go ahead and get on the line now so you can get on the program. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the award-winning Tider Insider TV. Welcome back to TITV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Alongside Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. We'll get to Bama hoops in a moment, this incredible stretch that they are on. But we're going to talk Bama football from this past weekend. Obviously, we knew Alabama was going to beat Eastern Illinois, but still, Rodney, you and I watched that game from the press box, paying a lot of attention to the way Alabama took care of its business. There's some positives, and there are some not so much positive news. Big news is Alabama's running game. They got it going on the offensive side of the ball. Ty played a half. He did some good things. The run game, again, it's against an inferior opponent, but you score 8 touchdowns on the ground by 6 different players. That's positive news. Ty played okay, but he's not playing right now, it appears to me, at the level he was playing at earlier this season.
I agree with you. I don't think Ty's been sharp for a while now. I know that he's been a little bit banged up, but I don't think that's really necessarily hampered him much. I just think that Ty's kind of lost a little bit of confidence. I think, Gary, when you look at him, he's holding the ball at times. He's over the last 7 games, I think he's got 9 turnovers. So, and through the first 4 games, he didn't have an interception. So, not quite as sharp as he's been. Again, not being critical, but I think that Ty, if Alabama wants to beat Auburn, wants to advance, go to the SEC championship game and have a chance, he's going to have to get closer to what he was playing earlier in the year. And
we mentioned all the one-score games that Alabama and Auburn have played this season. Special teams is a concern. Talty has been very inconsistent as a place kicker.
He has. Look. He's made some kicks. He's made some 40-plus yard kicks with room to spare. He's got the leg. He's got the ability. It's just consistency.
And offensively, we don't know Josh Cuevas' status, the tight end, who is a brilliant player in the pass receiving game. If he's out, that's a blow for the Tide.
It is a blow. It's a real blow, Gary. And I think the one thing you have to do is you look at the way Kalen DeBoer's recruited and how they've utilized some of these young players. You look at Caleb Edwards, he's got some experience. He's an extraordinarily talented player. Again, probably can't do everything in the offense that Cuevas can do right now. He's going to be a really good one. Marshall Pritchett, too.
Yeah.
Really impressed with him. And, of course, Jay Lindsey did a really nice job in the run game.
Yeah, they got some talented tight ends. The biggest positive, though, is the defense. 232 yards total to LSU, 212 to Oklahoma, 34 yards to Eastern Illinois, 2 first downs. Again, I understand the opponent, but I couldn't go back far enough to find a game, even under Coach Bryant, where there probably was one. But I know Coach Saban's lowest total that I could find was 92 yards total defense. 34 total yards, Rodney, is remarkable in this.
2
first downs, remarkable in this day and age, regardless of the opponent.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But that 2 first downs is really an amazing statistic. I can't even come close to remembering something that was near that. I really can't.
I can't either. That's a phenomenal performance. This defense is right for all the times that I've talked about, well, they give up plays. Listen, right now you look up there at the top total defense in the SEC and top 10 in the country.
Listen, the defense is carrying this team right now.
For all the talk about Auburn's defense, Alabama statistically is better. All right, let's get to some basketball because Alabama, I said, Rodney, before this 4-game stretch against St. John's, Purdue, Illinois, and Gonzaga. Only one of those games at home, Purdue. That if Alabama went 2-2, I'd be okay with that. Well, they went 2-2. They've got UNLV tonight out in Las Vegas. Last night they lost to Gonzaga. Listen, people are going to say, well, they struggle with big physical, mature teams. Their starting lineup, I think, averages like 24 years of age. But a lot of people struggle against these kind of teams. Gonzaga's really good. Alabama had a chance to win this game. They didn't. When you play the way Alabama plays, you get open threes, you need to knock some down. You get to the free throw line, you need to make them. They did get out-rebounded again, but I think Alabama's still finding its way, and I think this team's going to be a lot better. This is a Nate Oates hallmark. They're going to be a lot better in March than they are right now.
Yeah, again, this is still a team that a lot of these guys weren't playing together last year. Some of them are freshmen, young players, first year to play college ball. And like you said, I think it's pretty amazing where they are right now. You said 2-2 against the competition that they've had. And last night, you're right, Gary, free throws, couldn't knock those down. It would have been a different game. And they've got to get better on the boards.
Yeah, 95-85. Even though they're playing out in Las Vegas against UNLV, I think Bama will take that game tonight to get to 4-2 on the season. Then they'll have one more game there in Las Vegas before returning home for Thanksgiving. Well, still to come on TITV, our weekly Bama in the NFL segment, where we look ahead at, when we look back at the Tide alums that performed in the NFL. There's always a lot of them. And coming up, we'll get to your phone calls, emails, and tweets on the new Decades Pub and Grub Hotline. Boy, I like saying that because that's a really good place. I know I go a lot. They're now the sponsor for our phone line, and we're going to come back with your phone calls and more. There's the number, 205-348-9882. We'll be right back after this. Bama in the NFL, and Will Reichard, man, I tell you what, speaking of kickers, would it be nice to have him back? 59-yarder for the Vikings heading into halftime against the Packers. He's having a Pro Bowl caliber year. Unfortunately, Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, who was out, the Packers beat Reichard and Dallas Turner and the Vikings 23-6. Hey, what about John Mechie? You know, he was with the Texans, the Eagles. He's found a home with the Jets. He had the best day of his young career. 6 catches, 65 yards, Rodney, and that touchdown, even though the Ravens won the game in large part to Derrick Henry's effort. He had 2 touchdowns as he continues to move up on the all-time touchdown and rushing list. But Marlon Humphrey, as the Jets were hanging around in this game, another former Crimson Tide star, is going to force a fumble, and the Ravens win their 5th straight. Now, it's a big fumble because it looked like the Jets might score there. The story of the day, though, Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, this guy's electric. He had 264 scrimmage yards. That's a Lions record. Yes, the same Lions that Billy Sims and Barry Sanders played for. How about that? He had 3 touchdowns, and the Lions won in overtime. Unreal stuff. All right, welcome back into TITV along with Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris, and it is now the Decades Pub and Grub Hotline. Decades Pub and Grub, a local gym owned by the Clark family. Enjoy premium meats, award-winning dishes, and a pop culture ambiance located at Timerson Square, downtown Tuscaloosa. All right, let's jump out there on the Decades Pub and Grub Hotline and welcome in Sammy from Walker County. Hey, Sammy.
Hey, Gary, Rodney. Want to wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving. It's early, but I'm going to get that in. And, guys, my comments on the game is we need to keep that intensity level and that peak level on defense we're playing with. And Ty, I agree with you, Gary. He's going to have to come back with some of that early season magic, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so, Sammy. I think you summed it up well. I think defensively, Alabama, if they can continue, take that on the road, defense travels, as they say. And I look at Auburn, Gary, and I kind of wonder about their quarterback situation. Will they have the quarterback play against this defense that they need? I'm not really sure about that. So, but I'm with you on Ty Simpson. I think Ty was playing fantastic. And again, you have peaks and valleys. I think he's got to get back to that peak.
All right, thank you, Sammy. Let's stay out on the Decades Pub and Grub Hotline and welcome in Tommy from over in Romulus. Hey, Tommy.
Hey guys, how y'all tonight?
Hey, buddy, doing well.
Great. The key to winning Saturday is don't mind the voodoo, and let's don't have turnovers and give them 3 points. I mean, it's just stay focused. Just do your job and let Ty, I know everybody hates this terminology, but manage the game. Without penalties, without mistakes, Alabama's going to be fine Saturday, folks.
Yeah, Tommy, I think you hit on it with the turnovers. I think that is a big key, maybe the biggest key in the game going in. You cannot give the ball to Auburn. And Alabama, the last 2 games, has turned it over 5 times. And you mentioned it, they gave Oklahoma 17 points. That was the difference in that game.
All right, still to come on Tide Insider Television, Alabama Volleyball made a little bit of a run in the SEC tournament. We will have that for you. And we'll get to more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets on the Decades Pub and Grub Hotline. Again, that phone number, 205-348-9882. Plus, we'll have our email question of the day, TITV. We'll return right after this. It's Iron Bowl week in Tuscaloosa. Alabama volleyball is on the rise. They ended the regular season in the SEC at 5-10. I know that doesn't sound great, but believe me, they're making progress. Then they won a match at the SEC tournament. How sweet was that? Before eventually, as they beat South Carolina, they eventually lost to the powerhouse Florida Gators. But Alabama volleyball on the way up. All right, welcome back into TITV alongside Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. Let's get to our email question of the day. Brought to you by KDM Service Corporation. When it comes to heating and air conditioning, we serve your family like it's our family. Here is the email question of the day. If Bama wants to win on Saturday, it needs to stop with the turnovers and miscues. That's from Lamar in the great state of Alabama. Yeah, Rodney, obviously. I mean, I agree. I mean, the Oklahoma game has been an outlier for Alabama, but then Ty threw a couple of interceptions against Eastern Illinois. Now, one of them was a throw into the end zone, but that right there was a bad pick.
Yeah. And again, we talked about it. Ty hadn't been in rhythm for several weeks now. He's missed some open receivers for big plays. There you go right there. And he was under a lot of pressure, but, that's part of it. So I think it's Ty's got to manage the situation and the environment down there, Gary. You mentioned it earlier. Mm-hmm. He managed Athens really, really well, but he was playing with a lot of confidence too.
Yep.
So We'll see.
All right, let's get to a phone call. Rod called in earlier. He could not stay on the line, but Rod in Trussville had a question for us, Rodney, and we're going to go ahead and take it without him actually being on the line, if we've got that one ready. If not, we can take it. Okay, let's take an email question then real quick before we have to go to the break, if we've got one. All right, this is from Tim in Charleston, Illinois. What are some positive surprises that you have seen from the team this season? Oh, boy, I'm going to let you handle that one, Rodney, because I thought about it.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, I have to be honest with you, Gary. This defense
that has to be the lead.
Past my expectations.
Yeah, they've been really, really good this year. And like you said, kind of carrying the team right now heading into the Iron Bowl. All right, that's going to do it for our phone calls and emails. Again, thanks to Decades Pub and Grub. We take pride in offering some of the best bar food around town. Everything is made from scratch in our kitchen. Get ready for the best that T-Town has to offer. Decades Pub and Grub, 2314 4th Street in Tuscaloosa, downtown at Timerson Square. All right, we're going to come back. It's prediction time for the Iron Bowl. We'll have it next on TITV. All right, Rod, it's prediction time. Go.
All right. Look, Alabama has never beaten Auburn 3 times in a row at Jordan-Hare. I think Alabama makes history. I've got it 24-17.
Yeah, going for 6 in a row total. Listen, Auburn's, they've hung in there. I give them credit. They're a better football team than their record, but they're not a juggernaut. I mean, they're 1-6 in the SEC for a reason. Their only win is against Arkansas. Alabama's a better team. That's why the records are what they are. Alabama's going to win this football game, and I think they're going to win it by double digits. I got it 31-20. The Tide goes for 6 in a row over the Auburn Tigers on Saturday night at Jordan-Hare Stadium. All right, we will find out if we were right. Hopefully next Tuesday when we're sitting here, we will say that we were. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of TITV. If you missed it, there's a replay tonight at 10:30, or you can catch it anytime at WVOA23.com. We're going to leave you with Doris Lemongali, the great cross-country runner for Alabama women's cross-country, winning another national championship in the 6K at the national championships. Good night, everybody.
On her way to a 2025 championship for Alabama. Doris